Y'all came to the party, right?
Welcome to the Clear and Air Podcast with D and Q.
I'm Breezy.
I'm Q. Listen, man, we are here today in this episode to talk about your boy, Chris Brown, and these comparisons that are being made to Michael Jackson. But before we get into this episode, I want to ask that y'all subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure that you know you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Also know that we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. What's going on, bro?
My dog.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, talk to us about recent conversations that have been surrounding Chris Brown.
Well, first of all, Brody, I just went to the concert. I just saw him in concert. So, you know, last year I went and saw Beyonce in concert, and I told you what went into that, how a good friend of mine was like, "Yo, you gotta catch her on tour. It's a show. It's just like, it's just something you gotta do." Mm-hmm. And so this summer I wanted to see Breezy on tour, and so I was able to see him. Now let me go back. Breezy from around the way, you know, not too far, maybe about 20, 30 minutes. I've known Chris long time. He was about 14, 15. He was on the Russ Parr tour for the summer. Russ Parr, iconic radio legend. He would have this back to school tour he would do every summer. He would go around to different cities, and he would have like up and coming artists like perform and, you know, do stuff for back to school, pass out school supplies, this and that. And I remember when Chris Brown was on it. So met Chris at a very young age. Pictures, like all that stuff, like super young cat, but just knew he was destined for greatness. So it's dope to see where he is now. Regarding the show, crazy, like just crazy. Saw it in DC. He played at the Capital One Arena, which is the Wizards' big time arena. So Beyonce did stadiums, like football stadiums, but he's doing arena, sold out. Sold out. Shout out, you know, to my folks for looking out for me. Just a great performance, bro. Great performance. You know, the choreography, the singing. Sound, you know, that was the big thing with Beyonce. You know, she sounded really good live. Chris the same way. And I admire people like that because they singing and dancing. So you gotta have crazy breath control doing that. And he was dope, man. He got so many hits, bro. So many hits, man. Like the last 15 minutes, he had like 20 songs of it. He let the algorithm choose what song he was gonna perform. And this was the end after I thought he had played the majority of his hits, and then these like 20 songs, like, I forgot about that. And whatever it picked, they performed it. So it was dope, bro. And then of course, you know, Beyonce gonna bring everybody, women, men, LGBTQ. Like Beyonce gonna bring everybody. Breezy bringing the ladies.
Yeah.
Breezy bringing the ladies. So look, I recently was in the suite, and I was like, I want to kind of get down, be in the mix. Let me get in the mix. So my man came and got me and moved me down. Yeah, bro, I was the only dude down there. I was the only dude down there. I mean, they were standing up the whole time.
So that means he was in heaven then.
Yes, I was. It was nothing but lady. So I couldn't see. I'm like, so then he pulled me on the end, and that was perfect. And I never made it back to the suite. I was there. Shout out to Team Breezy. For sure. But dope performance. I recommend if y'all could catch him on tour, definitely do. Just after party was dope too. But you know, just to see the songs, the hits, the performance, I don't know if you saw, but he's like suspended up in the air. You know, he goes, it's like this little stage in the middle, and him and his two dancers suspended up in the air, then he go there, then he come back on the main stage.
Insane.
Definitely put on the show. Highly recommended. Now, to what you were saying, what did you ask me again?
Well, it wasn't really necessarily a question per se, but it was more or less kind of like, what are some of the things that are surrounding him? And I think you had hit me up about talking about doing it because of something that had come up that somebody had said.
Right. So I wanted to talk about it because one, I just went to the concert, but two, it's been several things. One, Fat Joe, shout out my birthday twin, he had recently said that Chris Brown would be probably the closest thing we have, or this generation's MJ, if it wasn't for the unfortunate incident with Rihanna.
Who's MJ?
Michael Jackson. Sorry. That's one. And then two, a lot of people feel as though he's been, well, not people feel as though, he has been. He's kind of been blackballed within the industry. You know, he's not really allowed to attend award shows. A lot of these tributes, most recently Usher's tribute at the BET Awards, a lot of people feel as though Chris should have been involved with that. Probably should have did it, but he's not able to. Last year, NBA All-Star Weekend, he was supposed to play in a celebrity game, and Ruffles, one of the main sponsors, said they would pull out if Chris was going to play. So Chris was not allowed to play, and Ruffles was able to stay on as being the sponsor for the All-Star game, for the celebrity All-Star game. And just in general, bro, there are some people who will just not forgive him for what he did. Yeah, I think it's just something that's going to always follow him. You know, I love Breezy, but I will say there are some times where he gets in his own way. There are some things he has done has kind of given his detractors more ammunition. I'll say it that way.
I like that.
You know, he's had some issues with the law. He's had some issues with other women. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
just beef and, you know, certain affiliations he has now that he lives in LA.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's just, you know, those things. And that's why I was like, man, we kind of need to talk about
Oh, for sure. So I got a couple of things, 2 to 3 questions, right? So with him still being banned, do you think that's justified?
Bro, no, I don't. Because if we was going to ban people for things they've done for their prior transgression, there would hardly be any award shows. You know what I'm saying? Like, and obviously what he did was very unfortunate,
Right.
and it was also public. It was very public. You was able to see what happened. And at the time, she was like America's sweetheart. She was America's darling. You know what I mean? So to see that, it's a stain. It's a stain for sure. But since then, she's forgiven him. He's been very contrite about it. They've gone on and done 2 songs together, I believe. So, no, I don't. I think, you know, I don't think he should still be banned.
Got you. I think that's always a challenge because we are human, right? Let's say this first part. Him saying that, I don't think it's justified either. Him saying that it's not justified, me saying it's not justified, does not say that we think he is justified in the mistake that he made, which was the domestic violence with Rihanna.
Absolutely.
So let's just be clear about
Absolutely.
that, because you know how the internet likes to be. Y'all got a lot to say in the comments, and y'all misconstrue what people got to say.
Exactly.
No one is saying that. But what we are saying, I'm going to take it another level. If we get disqualified and banned for our mistakes, nobody would be doing nothing.
Especially when we were younger.
That too, right. Nobody would be doing nothing. And I'm going to say this just because y'all know how I am. The Bible says all men have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, which means, let's say you don't go to church, you don't rock with church or nothing. In other words, we all make mistakes.
Right.
Or what he said.
Right.
Okay? So when you take all of that into consideration, you can never make excuses for your mistakes. Example, Michael Vick. Same thing with him. He has kind of gotten past that, and he's gotten gigs and done some other. He's still stained.
Some people just love their dogs, bro. They will never get over the fact that what he was accused of doing.
Yep. So same thing, right? So let's go here. Let's switch gears for a second. There are comparisons about Michael Jackson, right?
Who wasn't a saint himself.
We're gonna go there in a second. We're gonna go there in a second.
Right.
But with those comparisons, do you think that the Michael Jackson comparisons are valid?
Bro, yes. And the only person I could think that could be possibly close is Usher. Bro,
but did you hear what he said? Possibly close.
Yeah, and those are the only two that are in the running. And I think Chris is more comparable just because Chris has even remade some of his songs, or like has some of the songs with the same melody, this and that. Like he's got everything, bro.
Yeah.
He's got everything.
Yeah.
He's got everything. I do think the comparisons are valid. And I think Fat Joe made a great point. I think a lot of people have felt that way. Okay, my bad.
Hold on. I wanted to sit there for a second. We're going to get there in just a second, right?
Okay.
So I think it's valid. I think for all the reasons you said. You've seen, number one, you've seen him give tribute to MJ, Michael Jackson. You've seen, again, the comparisons come up. And in a world where people sometimes throw comparisons, you got MJ and LeBron, Michael Jordan and LeBron. You've got all these comparisons.
MJ and Kobe.
Right. So you have all of these comparisons, and sometimes you kind of like, what? Why are we comparing that? But I think it's a legit comparison also because we know that Michael Jackson was a generational talent. Like something that you might say we will never see again. Right? And I think you have to put Chris Brown in that, like it's almost kind of like a Jordan Kobe type of situation. And you'll hear Chris Brown tell you, huge inspiration. Okay? Even after all of these years, you still have, like, my daughter is 11 years old. My 13-year-old daughter, they know who MJ was. I don't even know if they were alive when he was alive.
Passed away, right. It's close.
Right.
Probably so, probably not.
So even if they were just born or whatever is the case, you didn't get a chance to see him perform and while he was alive. So again, you still have it where you got generational talent that I grew up listening to, that my uncles grew up listening to. Now you've got a Chris Brown who you can see live, right? And so I think the comparisons are valid. Now, if a person says that they are not valid, do we agree with what Fat Joe said in saying that the part of the reason why a person would say that the Chris Brown, Michael Jackson comparison is not valid is because of the Rihanna domestic violence occurrence, incidents. So do you think if a person says that it's not valid, it's because of that? Or do you think that there is still a skill level that Chris Brown needs to get to before we could do that?
I would say 80% yes. I think there are just some people who thinks that Michael Jackson is untouchable and can never be. And I don't think we're saying that he is Michael Jackson. I think we're saying he's this generation's Michael Jackson, or he may be the closest we'll ever get to Michael Jackson. You know what I mean? But there are some Michael Jackson enthusiasts who don't want to hear that.
Right.
So it might be those people. And then there might just be some people who may disagree and just
disagree.
say, yeah, he's not. But I say the overwhelming majority, if they don't, it's simply because they just don't rock with Chris Brown because of that situation.
Right.
Because if you look visually, come on, bro. I mean, what can he not do?
Yeah.
What can he not do? I mean, Okay, he probably don't write the majority of his songs, but neither did MJ. MJ had writers.
Right.
And what Chris Brown said, anybody can write it, but they can't sing it like me.
Yeah. So
right,
which makes us go back, and maybe it's because, like, did anybody ever say that Michael Jackson? Who was Michael Jackson compared to? I don't know if there was anybody.
Before that,
I don't know if there was anybody. So I think when
at
you're
that young of age, like even
general,
in general.
Who would you say, Elvis? You couldn't. No way. Because we're not talking about just this. So let's be clear. There's two components to this. It's the singing and it's the dancing. Mm-hmm. And again, Chris Brown got both of them.
Yes. And then I think where I think MJ is untouchable, probably will never be touched, is the global impact. Come on, bro. Miguel, Michael, and grown men falling out and passing out, and I love the bloody bastard. I think Michael is probably gonna be forever untouchable with that. Cause as a grown man, I ain't falling out and crying over no man, over nobody, let alone a man.
But it goes back to the conversation. Maybe the reason why Chris Brown is not at that point globally is because of the Rihanna incident. Because
when I tell you the ladies in that arena that night, how they was passing out and screaming at the top of their lungs and stood up for 2.5 hours, did not sit down, singing every word.
Probably with heels on.
Bruh, we ain't gonna talk. Bruh, they dressed to the nines, bro. And I'm loving every minute.
Lord have mercy. I was not in attendance with him.
Take it down. I really wanted to. Don't you be on that bug all night.
So listen, I think, and this is not to throw shade, but I think with any of these big time entertainers.
Nice watch, brother.
Oh,
look
product
at you.
of my wife, bro. Product of my wife.
Look at you.
But I think
I need to get married.
That's the next podcast episode. But I think with any of these entertainers, as big as the MJs, the Chris Browns, let's look at the facts. And this is not throwing shade on MJ in any way. Cat Williams talked about it. He had his concerns. Mm-hmm. Watch this. Let's just be honest. That could be looked at just as egregiously.
For sure.
Anytime you in the conversation of child, anything having to do with minors, and any type of abuse conversation, sexual abuse, bro, that's the type of stuff that people, fathers, you talking about men falling out over them, mm-hmm. That's the type of stuff that people come looking for you for.
Right.
Okay? So it ends up being one of two things with entertainers, and this is where sometimes things are not fair. We either make excuses for them, mm-hmm. or we hold them accountable. Would we say that MJ was ever held accountable for what he was accused of? I don't know.
So,
and maybe there's the accused versus what we know would happen.
But you make a great point, bro. And I hate to bring this up, but the comparison, a lot of Skip Bayless detractors, and there are a lot of them, including us, is that we know who he likes and don't like. So the people that he likes, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, they can do no wrong.
Right.
The people that he don't like, LeBron.
You pick out everything.
Right.
You nitpick
everything, bro. And you got an excuse for everything. Right. And that's how it is with these two. You know, if you rock with MJ, he can do no wrong.
Right.
So you look past the allegations, and that's what they were, allegations, right?
Right.
And if you don't rock with Breezy, he can do no right.
Right.
You know what I mean? He can continue to perform and have top selling albums and crazy hits, top charting hits. You just ain't gonna rock with him.
For sure.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, but I think And Chris has said this. He's voiced his frustration. He's tweeted it. He's done it. Was like, y'all just won't let me live. Like, you know what I mean? It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him. But then again, sometimes he'll get in his own way and do something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But I think we have to, and I think we can clear the air with this. I think we have to remember a few things, right?
Young.
So,
but you like 34, 35 now. Like you should be getting in now.
Yeah.
Right.
So let me just say this as we clear the air, right? I definitely think the MJ comparisons are valid. Mm-hmm. Okay. I definitely think that he is stained because of this mistake that he made, the domestic violence with Rihanna. I don't think that the bans and the restrictions that you have mentioned are justified. And let me tell you why I say that. Not because I think a man should beat on a woman. Okay? It's not because of that. But I think at what point do you stop paying for your mistakes that you've made?
Right.
But also, Ruffles make sure that there is nobody in your organization that comes up and has any issues. I'm sorry, they do. They just might not be known about because they're not the big name like Chris Brown.
Shoot, there might have been other celebrities in that game who had.
Yep. And so again, I just think we have to be careful. I think another thing is that, at some point, what people are doing, I think towards the end, MJ was not able to perform like he was doing. I think shows and stuff was being canceled or whatever's the case. Chris Brown, we've seen him for 20 years. Okay? About 20 years or so. Right? Yeah. So we've seen him for 20 years. He may go another 10, 15 years. And I think one of the things is, we're not asking you to judge the character, because both MJ and Chris Brown had some things that you may question in terms of character. We're talking about the talent. Again, we're not saying you bypass the character for the talent overall, R. Kelly. But what we are saying is, are these comparisons valid?
That's going to be a future topic too. Can you, or no, do you separate the artistry from the person? We're going to have to talk about that.
I think because we've kind of dipped into it, but
yeah,
that's
but
definitely an upcoming topic.
We need to have a whole topic about that, because you said a name, and then we also, and I ain't ducking no smoke, we also going to talk about another name too, who's been in a lot of trouble recently, who has been very vocal about. So I ain't ducking no smoke. We going to talk about that, trust me.
You know who we talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
Take that.
Yeah. So I think we've cleared the air on this topic, man. I think we've talked about it. Curious what you guys think. Do you think Chris Brown should be compared to MJ from a talent standpoint? And let's just be honest, if you can compare him from a talent standpoint, for those who cannot separate artistry from the person, there's been some, whether we talk about alleged or straight out we know. And let me tell you what the alleged thing, alleged to me is scarier, because you never got down to the truth. We know what Chris Brown did. Okay? So can we say that it's valid? Can we say that him being justified, him being banned is still justified at this point in his life? And again, let's take into consideration and understand that, take ourselves, we were not worldwide known for our talents at the age of 14, 15 years old. Think about it like this. If some of the things you've done at 14, 15 years old got out there, in the midst of the entire world knowing about you, would we not be having the same conversations about you? We want to ask that y'all do one thing. If you made it this far, we do want to ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, full episodes can be found on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. For the clips, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you can find us there as well. make sure that you are subscribing so that you don't miss any of the future things we've got going on. But also some of the good work we've put in and good topics we've talked about in the past. So listen, we out of here. Until the next episode, peace.
Team Breezy, holla, peace.